Hello everyone and welcome back to another creator interview. And today I have an interview with Sully from Sully Streams. This was a great interview. We geeked out on lots of stuff, including D&D, which I didn't even know Sully was interested in. Before I send you to watch the interview, please click the subscribe button and the like button to let me know that you want me to make more creator interviews like this one. And now, without further ado, please enjoy the interview. Before we dive into your past, please tell me a bit about yourself and what you create today.
Yeah, so I create a lot of content under the handle Sully Streams on pretty much all social media platforms. It's basically, weekly movie recommendations, movie reviews, stuff I'm looking forward to, kind of like top 5, top 10 lists of maybe a specific genre or, yearly lists, stuff like that. I'm absolutely obsessed with movies. When it comes to like my friend group, I was always the big movie guy, and everyone was always texting me being like, hey, like I'm looking for a movie tonight. What should I watch? So I was like, all right, well, if this many people are asking me about this, I might as well see if anyone online is, wanting to seek this knowledge as well. So it's what I'm really passionate about. So I decided to put it on Instagram a couple years ago, started doing YouTube last year, and that's where we've been going pretty strong from there.
Awesome. Before we dive into your specific creator journey, how you started and all that, I have a few rapid fire movie questions for you.
Okay.
So let's begin with the first one. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Great. Favorite movie genre?
Probably adventure or thriller.
Okay. Interesting answer. Favorite Marvel or DC movie?
I think my favorite Marvel movie is the second Captain America, the Winter Soldier one. I think it's unbelievable. It's like a political thriller more than a regular Marvel movie.
Okay. And I'm going to take you back with this one. What's the first movie you ever watched?
Oh, man. I'm sure I've gotten this written down somewhere. First movie I've ever watched, I'll say first one I can really remember is probably way back in the day watching The Sandlot. That was probably the first one that I can remember.
Okay. I remember my first movie was Armageddon. Yeah.
Starting you off with a bang.
That was like my parents took me when I was little. I'm in my 30s now. That was starting off my journey in this amazing world with a bang.
Well, okay. I will say you saying that, I still view myself as a young guy, but then a lot of the people on YouTube keep getting younger and younger that are consuming content. So they'll bring up movies and they'll refer to something as like an old movie. And I'm like, man, I saw that in theaters. Like, I don't view myself as that old, but if that's the new criteria, I guess I'm going to have to come to grips with it.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up, because I have like, there's this trauma that I suffered from TikTok, where there's a trend there, like that people, they have this audio when they say to the old people on TikTok, those born 92 or something.
Oh no.
And I'm like, so what am I?
Hey, I was born in 94, so I still fit in barely, but clinging on to it.
Yeah. Great. Okay, I want to take you back. Before you started Instagram, before you started YouTube, tell me about that like pivotal moment when you thought to yourself, like you woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to create content. What was behind that decision for you?
Yeah, I think it was, so when it really kicked off, it was the middle of the pandemic. We were all quarantined, And, it was giving me a great excuse to watch even more movies than I usually do because we couldn't leave the house. And I remember I had this thought in the back of my head for a little bit that I wanted to start creating some kind of movie content. I had on my phone a new Instagram account where I had planned to start doing that, but it was unused. Like I just had it on my phone and just never started it really. And then, like I touched on a little earlier, when everyone was stuck in their house, people were asking me more than ever, kind of like, hey, like what's on streaming right now? Like I'm stuck in the house, like what can I watch? And I'll be like, all right, here are like my 10 favorite movies on like Netflix. Here are my 10 favorite on like Hulu, HBO, Amazon, that kind of stuff. Or I'm like, okay, give me a genre and I'll like tailor a whole list for you, basically. And I really love doing that and having those kinds of discussion. And so I basically just thought, what better way to do that on a broader scale and keep the conversations going than, opening up my thoughts and discussions to the public and like seeing what they had to say and, me educating them and them educating me on movies that I've let slip through the cracks and whatnot, and just starting a dialogue. And then it kind of just snowballed into something bigger from there.
The thing I'm trying to like figure out, like, you had like all this love for movies and reviews and all that. Why YouTube or why Instagram and not like open a blog, for example? What made you choose that medium?
So I think what it was is, the first is that it was easy. Can do it all from my mobile phone if I wanted to. If you want to get more detailed and more high quality with your content, obviously some of that requires like a legitimate camera and, a PC with editing software and whatnot. But the reason I started with Instagram specifically is I'm like, I can just do this at the click of a button. It doesn't matter when I get it out there. I'll learn as I go, and it's just rapid fire, right? And people will let me know instantly, since Instagram, everyone's always scrolling on their phones. Probably, there are definitely two different demographics, but the people that are on Instagram are really on Instagram, it seems, all the time. So people would let me know immediately if this was something they were interested in, or if I was kind of barking up the wrong tree a little bit. And luckily for me, once I started doing it on Instagram, people started following me and letting me know that they liked what I was saying. So I kept it going, and it actually started more so than a movie review channel on Instagram. It started more as, like I said, I would do a weekly thing where I go, hey, all right, here's week one, my streaming picks, one pick for each streaming service. Here's something for HBO, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. And I would just show a visual for that and give my quick little blurb review as to why it's good and why you should watch it. And if you like these other movies, you would enjoy this as well. And just start putting that out there week after week, kind of pretty religiously for about like a year, I'd say. And then from there, I decided, Instagram has been great, but I want to find a place for more long form content and video discussion where I could actually be on camera and get my own thoughts and words out and kind of open up a discussion to a broader audience. And I kind of like that on YouTube as well, where a lot of the times it's not someone outside of your niche that will find your stuff. Usually you have to be looking for, like, if I put out an open discussion on the Batman, it means that probably someone's typing in like, hey, I want to learn more about the Batman, and maybe they'll come across my stuff and it's the perfect, match for them to jump into the discussion and whatnot. But that's pretty much how I started my content creator journey. Okay.
So what I'm picking up, like the most important point from what you said, is that you had shorter feedback loops on Instagram. Like,
I think so.
You post something and you get pretty immediate feedback. And I feel like that's something that on YouTube is not happening. At least for me.
100%.
Yeah. So that's a good strategy. And I think also the fact that you started with Instagram and not TikTok, like everyone was on TikTok during the beginning of the pandemic, but I think you created something more long lasting. in some sense.
I hope so. Like, I really like doing it, so, and I mean, I'm never going to stop wanting to talk about movies. So I really hope that it kind of stands the test of time as like a platform to discuss that kind of stuff.
Okay. So when you started like putting that content out there, what were your initial goals for your content creation? Like, you had numbers, you had like a vision. What kept you going?
I think it's hard, especially starting on Instagram or YouTube for that matter. It's hard for your first goal not to be like, hey, I want to reach this many subscribers. I think for a lot of people, and I'm definitely part of this bunch, it's easy to say like, hey, I'm judging how many people enjoy my content based off the amount of subscribers I have, because subscribers means these are people that liked what I wanted to say and they want to make sure that they don't forget to come back.
Yeah.
So I'd say, when I started my movie Instagram account, I'd say probably my loose goal was just like, see how long it can take me to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I almost feel like I had a set goal for myself too, where it was like, I'm going to try this for a little while. And if it doesn't work by, I don't know what I selected, but like, if it doesn't work by this date, maybe I'm realizing that something's not working. People aren't interested in the stuff I'm putting out. Or maybe I just, don't like want to keep doing this because it's not really getting any traction for one reason or the other. So I think the first goal I set for myself was like, get to 1,000 subscribers. And then I'm glad that I made my YouTube off of that, because I think that it was kind of a wake-up call of realizing how different the audiences are between social media platforms. So I definitely had a misconception in my head of being like, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. All of these people on Instagram really like what I have to say, so they're obviously going to follow me over to YouTube, right? And I'm sure, I couldn't even tell you, but I'm sure 90% of my audience on Instagram does not follow me on YouTube, and vice versa. For some reason, those are just completely different crowds, which is fine. I just needed to learn that at some point to realize, okay, I'm going to tailor this audience this way and my YouTube audience this other way. And, these two different sets of people are interested in two sets of different content, or at least presented in a different way. So I think that kind of helped me learn. But, that was a very long way of saying that I think both of my goals for Instagram and YouTube at least started out as like, okay, I want to see how long it'll take me to get to 1,000 subscribers or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good starting goal, because like even on YouTube, the way to think that something is going to work is by saying, okay, can I monetize this at some point? Can I get to becoming a partner? I wanted to ask you about shorts. I see that you started posting shorts a little while ago, and I think it's a great way to tap into this new engine that YouTube started to match like TikTok and Instagram Reels. What growth have you seen using shorts, if at all? And are you using that type of content on like other platforms as well?
Yeah, so I decided to do YouTube Shorts legitimately like within the last 10 days. I've just been posting them, and I've been trying to post once a day. And I've been kind of telling myself, like, I'm going to post once a day for a month and just kind of track the data, kind of see what happens over the course of the next month. So I wouldn't say that I have a ton of data to, analyze right now, but the way that I'm seeing it right now is the ones that I've seen that have gotten picked up a little bit by the algorithm. I think more so for at least my type of account, I think they act more as a launching pad where it's like, not everyone's going to see my shorts and subscribe, but I think it'll bring more attention to my long form content. So what I've been seeing right now is, like I said, I just started posting like a week ago. So one of them that did decently well, it has like 1,000 views and like I don't know, 50 likes or something like that. For something like, I did like my 6 favorite Marvel movies or like my 6 favorite superhero movies in a reel. And then I would see some views coming in from my longer form superhero centered content. So I think people would go off the short and kind of go see what other stuff I've kind of been up to. And it'll bring more traction that way, which obviously I'm happy with regardless. Sometimes it doesn't lead immediately to like more subs or anything like that. But I mean, I'm sure you've heard this too. I read something about maybe someone on average sees like 4 or 5 of someone's videos before they consider subscribing on average.
Yes.
Something like that. So obviously if shorts are helping begin or accelerate that process, then I'll happily keep posting shorts. And I'm already post a lot of reels on Instagram. So I'm able to just repurpose them. It's really no extra work on my end, just moving them from Instagram and taking them and putting them on YouTube as well. So I don't have a ton I wish I had more like gold nuggets and findings there, but as right now, unless something changes, unless maybe crazy on the algorithm that I haven't seen yet, but right now it just looks like it's a good like gateway into my other larger content, kind of funneling people in there, which if that's kind of how I end up using it, I think it's pretty beneficial.
That's also like when people subscribe to you through a YouTube short, they would also get recommended other videos that you posted on their home feed eventually. Mm-hmm. And then if your thumbnails are working and your titles are working, then it's like the click-through rate.
It all comes together.
Yeah, it all comes together.
Yeah.
So yeah, shorts can be a good engine to like increase your reach, and then from there, the recommendation system starts working.
I've seen you some pretty successful. I've seen some high numbers on your account.
Yes, I'm posting for a very lovely community called the Dimension 20 community, and so I've been interviewing a person named Brennan Lee Mulligan. He's a DM, and so I had a few longer form interviews that I did with him, and for a while I was like, okay, just let YouTube do its thing, and then I was like, wait, but if people like this and it only got 5,000 views when it was initially posted, why not do shorts and bring more people to it? So, and people love those little nuggets of information. I will say, kind of exposing myself here, I learned something from doing this, where I published a short which was relevant only for a specific point in time, like a few months ago. And then it created a misconception about current seasons of the show. And people were like, this is irrelevant. Why are you posting this now? And I was like, okay, I need to unlist this because this creates confusion. So you don't like post anything, but you can choose what to post and it performs well if you make it right. And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring that up later. I'm actually a massive, I'm a huge Critical Role fan. Oh, nice.
So I haven't watched much of Dimension 20, but I know Brennan's doing that little 8-part miniseries of Critical Role starting this week. So I'm definitely for that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of Critical Role. I watch literally every episode. So.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so Mr. Expert in Critical Role, I have a question for you.
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but hopefully this isn't too hard of a question.
No, it's really easy. How do you get started today with Critical Role?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't think there's an easy answer because I kind of just I definitely think I did it in a way that isn't most people. Like I just dove in, like, okay, I see all these episodes. Like I'm just gonna be uh, super responsible about it and just start at the beginning, right? But I think I had seen enough clips, I'd seen enough parts of episodes where I was like, okay, this is something I really want to get interested in. Experience the payoff and the satisfaction that all these other fans are going through with this that didn't really have any, weight emotionally on me because it was just, jumping in back and forth. So I think one day I kind of just decided, I was like, all right, if I really want to dive into this head first, I have to just start from the beginning. And I mean, it doesn't have to be the beginning in one. You just do the beginning of like, if someone was trying to get into it right now, I'd probably just say, hey, there are 20 episodes into the third campaign. I would just start at episode 1 of campaign 3. And just, if you like it, follow it that way. And then, once things have died down or you have any kind of lull, you could go back and check out the previous campaigns. You're not missing a ton that carries over from previous campaigns. Like there'll be little nods for hardcore fans and stuff like that. But if you just start at episode 1 of campaign 3, I think you'll be good to go. And they're fantastic storytellers over there. So you'd be in great hands if you started in the third campaign, or any of them for that matter. Also,
Okay.
their animated show on Amazon Prime is incredible. So
The Vox.
Vox Machina, yeah.
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, it's on my list. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list. I do want to say for you, Matt Mercer is on one of the side quests of Dimension 20. It's 6 episodes. It's called Escape from the Bloodkeep. Oh, there's actually 2 that he's in. There's that one, Escape from the Bloodkeep, and there's also Pirates of Leviathan. But Pirates of Leviathan is actually it crosses over with a main campaign, so you might get a little bit spoiled if you watch it before watching Fantasy High. So if you decide to dive into Dimension 20 at some point,
and
that could be
in those 2, is Mercer a player or is he DMing?
Player.
Good, because I love seeing him play. So
Yeah,
that's good.
he's a
Because he's
player.
a great DM, obviously. So it's great to see what he can do on the other side of the table. So I'll have to check it out.
In both of those, Brennan is DMing.
Yeah, and I've seen clips of him. He's great.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to D&D sidetrack us here, but
it's great. I love D&D and I love TTRPGs, and it's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about present day. You now have your YouTube channel and you have your Instagram account. How did your content creation journey change your life so far? I mean, it probably didn't change your life a lot, but what effect did it have on your life so far?
honestly, the only effect it's had on my life is that I'm much more religious about my schedule and my planning, because I know I want to get out a certain amount of content per week. And that takes some serious planning, especially when it's on multiple, forms of social media. Like I run the Instagram, I run the YouTube, I run the Twitter, which is just easy. It's just quick little thoughts and whatnot. But it is, I do have to remind myself that, hey, I do want to get opinions out there on a certain regular basis. So honestly, the only way that it's changed. Oh, also, I'm much more. I'm going to many more movies, even more than I was before, which is hard to believe because I was already going to so many. Do you know the app Letterboxd?
I don't, but I've seen it on your link tree.
So it's really cool. I was someone that always posted all of my reviews and rankings on IMDb, and Letterboxd is like kind of a new movie app where you can hit a button and it'll import all of your ratings over from IMDb, and it's much more of like a social media movie application. IMDb is great, but I usually use it mostly on the computer. and like looking for more like stuff that I don't need to know like instantly at the touch of a button. Letterboxd is great, and you can establish a pretty cool social media community over there through like reviews and lists you create, and you list your favorites on your profile and talk about why and everything. So I'm active on that as well too. I always just direct people to that too if they just want to see kind of what I've been watching and what I thought of it. Just like, not the same kind of quality content you'd find on my other pages, but at the very least kind of just see quick thoughts like, hey, if it's worth watching or not, especially smaller stuff that maybe, or older stuff that I'm not going to be reviewing. But I mean, I think that's really the only way my life has changed. I mean, I'll have friends and acquaintances come up to me saying that they like really, I've helped them because they never know what to watch, and whatnot. So I kind of like give them suggestions, and, I always wear that as like a hilarious badge of pride, basically. If I gave them a recommendation, they liked it, and they're like, okay, so like this guy gave me a good pick, so in the future I'm going to roll with him because he hasn't let me down yet. So I think really the only way my life has changed is making sure I'm more religious about my scheduling, going to a lot more movies, and making sure I have it planned out, for when I'm going to post on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, kind of. And also, I think that there's something to be said, too, about putting out too much content. Like, I'm a quality over quantity guy, too.
Okay.
You want to make people miss you a little bit. You don't want to be shoving, your content in their face 24 hours a day. So I usually kind of try to save some of my stuff for more important topics rather than talking just to get another clip out of me talking, Okay,
so it's not like a consistency thing. It's more of like a quality thing. Like, I'm going to reserve my energy to create something which I perceive as higher value.
So I think it's tough because I think it is a little bit of both. I think, like, I wouldn't say save my opinions or my, if I'm going to make a video, if I really want to make a video this week, I'm going to save it for this great topic coming or later rather than this lesser topic, because I really do think that there's an audience for every kind of topic and niche and sub-niche and everything like that. Like, there's plenty of people that love to talk about, like, low-budget movies or indie movies or even, like, movies that are objectively, like, bad, people love that kind of stuff. So I think that if there's anything, you'll just be able to know within yourself too. Like, if it's something you're passionate enough about that you're like, man, I really want to start a discussion on this, then that's usually worthy of a video. Even if a big movie, a big blockbuster important movie is coming out later that week, if you're more passionate about talking about some tiny little indie movie that no one has seen yet really, and it's not going to get a huge audience, then I would say staying true to yourself and your audience is more important. Like, if they've come to expect that type of content, then I would be doing a review of that smaller indie movie before I do a review for that huge blockbuster coming out. So I think you also have to be able to pick and choose.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good segue into like talking about your relationship with your audience. You currently have like almost 10,000 followers on Instagram and over 1,000 on YouTube. How do you feel like that relationship grew over time, like with comments and maybe like social media interaction and engagement with you as a creator?
Yeah, I mean, I've always made it a pretty big point to, regardless of what social media platform it comes through, to reply to every single comment. I always and doing it in a way that, like, even if it's something simple, like someone says, hey, like, I liked this video, finding a way to turn that into an open discussion, being like, oh, thanks, I appreciate, you stopping by the channel. Like, is this your favorite movie from this director? Like, this is mine, what's yours, kind of thing. Like, always making sure to start kind of an open-ended discussion to further the dialogue and further invest people in your content and want to come back and find out more about, why they clicked on it in the first place. Like, what kind of content are you interested in seeing from a movie account? So my number one rule from the very beginning was always respond to every single comment. And it would be very hard for you to go on any of my YouTube videos and find a comment that I haven't replied to at least once now. Just because I really think that's important, and I think it gives more of like that personal touch as well. Like, I'm just literally at the start and the end of the day, I'm just a guy that wants to talk about movies with as many people as possible. So my best way of doing that is if someone is, gonna gracious enough to leave a comment on my stuff, that I want to continue a dialogue with someone that wants to be there to begin with. So I'd say that kind of aspect of community is very important for me. And then once I passed 500 subscribers on YouTube, utilizing the community tab to kind of just put out polls. I always get the most success with polls. Just being like, hey, what movie are you looking forward to the most that's coming out in the next couple of weeks? Or like, what kind of stuff do you want to see out of my channel? Is it, movie reviews, tier lists, like upcoming movies that I'm looking forward to, like that kind of stuff, and just letting people voice their opinions. Because I am interested in talking about all of those things. So if someone wants to let me know that they'd want something a little bit more targeted, then I'm definitely open to kind of delivering that kind of content. But I also know it's a push and pull, where it's like you want to stay true to yourself and do the content you've always wanted to do, and do stuff that, interests a wide variety of people as well. So it's a little bit of a tug of war.
Yeah. The community tab is one of the best tools on YouTube. It helps you like in so many ways. I've been using it since I got access to it. I've been using it to poll my audience's opinions on literally everything. But the problem is that sometimes it gets like abused a little, and like a lot of creators heard or suspect that if someone interacts with your poll, then they would also get recommended your videos. And so some creators would just put like a poll, do you like pizza? Yes, no. And then like get like 5,000 votes or something like that. And the poll doesn't have value. It's like, okay, it doesn't help you in any way. But yeah,
I've seen and heard about that as well. That it's like you'll see one from a YouTuber that just says, and even though they have nothing to do with their channel, it's like, do you like tacos? And it's just like yes or no, and then I'll get like 20,000 votes, and I'm like, why am I even seeing this on my page? But I do love tacos, so might as well participate. But
yeah, and also about what you said earlier about like replying to all comments. I also think there's something to be said about like first impressions here. If I am a new person to your audience and I come to visit your channel and I see that you reply to all comments, I would be more like excited to engage with you, because otherwise I would be like, imagine the opposite, where someone comes to your channel and see that you never reply to any comment that you got on any of your videos.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
I think it makes a difference. I think it's a lot more inviting, and gets people to comment when maybe they wouldn't share their opinion otherwise. I think if they know that they're going to have someone to start a dialogue with about this topic too, something that they're interested in, that they might be more likely to kind of start the conversation themselves there. So I'm always looking out for that.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Oh no.
What are some big lessons you learned during your content creation journey so far, or mistakes that you learned from?
Oh, well, I think a pretty common one that I definitely felt, that I think I'm sure a lot of people have struggled with too, is just like finding your voice and making sure it comes through authentically the way that it would off camera. I feel like I would put stuff out, like I'm sure I'm sure the first video I ever put out has a different feel than the most recent video I ever put out.
There is.
Yeah. I'm sure that, do you know this firsthand? Did you check my first video?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that comes down to a lot of things when it comes to the quality of the video, the way that it's organized, the way I conduct myself, how comfortable I am on camera, a lot of different things. And I think, unless it's a very rare case where, you're just 1,000,000% comfortable in your skills and everything right from the get-go, that, you're going to be showing probably the least of your personality in that first video. So just finding ways to get your own voice and style to come through, not too closely piggybacking off of someone that, someone's audience that you're trying to garner, or someone's following that you're trying to kind of get a piece of. There's a lot of movie reviewers on YouTube. It's not an empty space in that niche, obviously. And the guys that have succeeded there have done so because they offer a unique product, whether it be their own personality, their comedy, the way they look at stuff, the way their videos are organized. So I guess it's kind of just figuring out what makes you unique and how you can deliver your content in an interesting way that kind of just shows off your best skills as well, which is obviously all that stuff is stuff that I've learned over the last year. That's not something you're going to be able to fix or, be a master at in a couple videos. I'm far from a master at it. I'm learning more tips and stuff that I want to change with every single video I publish, but just making sure you're making advancements and steps in the right direction towards that goal with every new thing that you post, I guess, is the lesson.
Okay. I do have to say, I watched a few of your earlier videos and a few of your latest videos, and there is a difference in the way that you present. It feels like that your most recent video feels more gives off more a professional type of vibe, and if that's what you're going for, that works perfectly for you. I do feel that the earlier videos had more of a personal vibe, hey guys, mm-hmm. I'm here and I have stuff to say.
Right.
Yeah. So that change in tone is felt when someone watches your videos in continuation. Mm-hmm. Is that something you're aware of? Did you consciously make that choice?
I don't know if it was more of a decision where I said hey, I want my videos to be more professional, but I think, it's always a push and pull, and there's pros and cons to all of this kind of stuff. Like you said at the beginning, it probably was more conversational and messy, and there is kind of a little bit of a charm to that, people that are looking for more of a conversational style and whatnot. And then, I don't want to use the word professional, but I think it was more so I might have come to the conclusion myself off of looking at analytics and, numbers of when people tune into the video, when they stop watching, that kind of stuff, that maybe I was hey, I think I have to get to the point a little bit faster. And the way to do that is to cut out the chit chat and get down to the brass tacks a little bit. And like I said, there's positives and negatives to both of those things. And I think that just kind of comes with cultivating an audience and figuring out more about what you want to do yourself. Just because, maybe that audience that at the beginning liked my kind of colloquial conversational style. It was more messy. They didn't really care about the presentation, more so that they just enjoyed hearing what I had to say. And it was like I was a buddy talking to them at the bar, basically, about a movie that I had just seen, versus, maybe it's a different demographic that's interested in the videos I'm putting out more so now, which are more to the point, organized in the sense of these are the criteria I'm rating a movie off of. These are my thoughts on the matter. And it's very short essay form kind of. And I think it's just I I'm still trying to figure out the answer to that myself. Seeing if there's a way to blend those together better than I am, to kind of include more of the personality and messy stuff that people like. Because I think people, at least that's the stuff that I like, is especially with movie stuff. It's like the people that just seem like they're talking to a buddy about a movie, or, you know, someone that's writing a dissertation or a thesis on the on the movie. You know, it's more so conversational style, and you just met up with one of your friends and are saying, "Oh, I watched this great movie," and they say, "Oh, what's it about?" And you kind of just like, you know, it's kind of like this movie. If you liked that, you'd like this, and this is why I liked it. This is what didn't work, and that kind of stuff. So I think there's something to be said for both forms. I think I'm personally still working on finding the connecting point between both of those. So,
okay, it's actually like, it's good that you're conscious on the effort of learning, because, you know, like, your entire first 100 videos would probably be drafts at some point, and then you would, like, in a year or two, you would come back and look on your videos and say, "Wow, this is what I posted back then." It's
right.
Yeah, it's like
100%.
There's a funny thing, like, with writers, and I experienced this myself. Like, when you revisit stuff that you wrote a year ago, and then you're seeing all the flaws in what you wrote back then. And then, but at the moment, like, when you're publishing something, you're like, this is my best piece yet.
Right. Yes.
And okay, like, we live and learn, and doing, like, making the effort is part of the journey. Let's talk a bit about the future. You're now in the year 2022. What are your goals for your content creation on Instagram and YouTube for the coming weeks and months and years?
Well, Instagram's an easy one because I've been working towards getting to over 10,000 followers for a little bit. I keep getting close, and then, you know, whether it be the algorithm, whether it be my style of posting or what's resonating with people or not, I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm confident I'll get past that pretty soon, but that's been a pretty big goal of mine that I've wanted to reach for a while. So hopefully that happens. And if that doesn't happen in 2022, I'm going to need to reevaluate. But we're right there. I think we're within like 300 or 400 more followers to get to 10,000. YouTube, I mean, YouTube's tough. It's a grind. I'd be over the moon if I got somewhere. I don't think it's attainable within 2022. So I'll call it maybe like the next year and a half goal would be to get to 5,000 subscribers. That's like the next big number that's on my mind, at least.
Okay.
Which, you know, it took a while to get past 1,000. So hopefully it's one of those exponential processes where, you know, the first 1,000 is always the hardest. And it'll get easier a little bit, you know, as it goes on. And I've figured out more stuff myself, and the algorithm helps you out because you've had X amount of subscribers, and, you know, you're kind of getting more eyes on your content. So I'd say getting past 10,000 on Instagram, getting past 5,000 on YouTube are, you know, I can't put a date on when I think that they're going to happen, but those are the next two big goals in my sights. Okay.
I can tell you, at least from what I experienced recently on YouTube, when YouTube understands who are the people that fit your videos, your videos get pushed more. And I've seen this like in snippets of my interviews, those shorts that we that discussed earlier. I didn't post the traditional short. It's not vertical. It's just a snippet from my interview as a short video, like under 3 minutes. And there are several positive effects of that. The first one is that people watch the entire thing, or at least like most of it, if not all. And that pushes the algorithm as well, because when YouTube understands that people watch your stuff more, then it would push it to more people. And the other thing is that once there are people watching it and commenting and giving it a like and stuff like that, it would also trigger the recommendation system. And when the recommendation system is like juicing your video, it would be like, oh my God, I woke up and I have like 30,000 views. It's like, okay, so it grows. But yeah, maybe.
And I've seen a couple of those videos you're talking about, and they've gotten pretty high views, like in a very short amount of time. So
yes, so that's something to consider. Like once you get that vibe, then you will see growth.
For sure.
Kind of a weird question in terms of like,
I love weird questions.
In terms of like where you are in your content creation journey, but what advice would you have for someone starting today to create content related to your niche?
Oh man. Okay. I mean, I'm still such a beginner myself. I'm still looking for advice, you know.
The difference between you and someone who is just starting today is that you moved past the hurdle of not starting.
Yeah. No, I think what you're saying too, I totally agree with, where, you know, I've always kind of compared it to like something mundane or tedious, like going to the gym, where it's like thinking about going and getting yourself there is always the hardest part. And then once you're actually doing it, it's not so bad.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where, you know, everyone says this, and it's going to be the same advice. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but like you really just need to do it. You really just need to start. I'd say that's the biggest hurdle, like you said. And we're living in a technological world where it's legitimately the easiest it has ever been to record content and put it somewhere. And it doesn't have to be like, I think people have this misconception as well, where it's like, you don't want to put something like, oh, I wanted to start a social media account, I want to start a YouTube account, but the videos I could film right now like aren't worth putting on YouTube, so I'm not going to do anything until I feel like I'm ready to put out something that's quality content. But you're never going to get there until you just start posting and figuring out what works for you personally. And, you know, you have to fail a lot. And I mean, I don't know, people get so view and subscriber obsessed that, like, you know, everyone has videos, if you go way back, that have like 18 views and like no comments and like got maybe even lost subscribers from them. But that's like all part of the process. But if you don't even start an account, then your subscriber count is going to stay forever at 0. So I think it's one of those things where you have to like have faith in yourself. And if it's like a niche topic, something that you're super passionate about, to remember that there's always an audience that wants to discuss this stuff. There's always people that want to join the discussion, and probably even people that wanted to start making their own content too, but they didn't get over that hurdle and are looking for someone like you that's putting out certain content that they really enjoy behind closed doors, or for whatever reason don't want to make videos about themselves. So yeah, I mean, it's so simple and it's so overused, but the most important advice really is to just get started on it. You know, don't let it hold you back. Just start making videos. And I think, you know, like I said, you're going to fail and mess up a lot of times, but what you should always go back to is like make videos that you yourself would want to watch. That sounds obvious, but just making stuff like, if I pretend I'm like a stranger watching my videos and I'm like, this is kind of tough to get through, then why should I expect anyone else that would want to watch this? So, you know, it takes a lot of trial and error. So start and then make sure you get better at it every day.
Yes. That's good advice. And people hear it all the time and they don't do anything about it.
Right.
So, yeah. I have a good example like people often don't want to start because they think that the niche is saturated or that like there's no space for them. And there's always like this kind of funny thing that I remember from myself, like when Game of Thrones aired, there was a trend on YouTube at the time to watch people's reactions to the Red Wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, that was huge.
Yes, and I was like, I had like an entire afternoon that I searched people's reactions to the Red Wedding because it was so novel. And imagine this, it was like, it's the same scene, you saw the scene in the episode, and you just went and looked for other people's reactions to it. And it's like, and everyone like gasps or cries, but there was always like the thought that there would be something novel about that reaction. And that's like the point that people often like forget, that people want to see people. And even if you're going to say the entire same thing like someone else, you're still you, as long as you present it in your voice and in your style. It's probably worth watching.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a really good point. I'd never really thought about it that way, but you're right. People just want to watch other people talking about or reacting to stuff that they're interested in, even though they've seen that scene 1,000 times. Like, what is it that's making people go crazy over watching those videos? And some of it I can't even explain.
Yes.
But, and I think going back to what you said at the very beginning, I think you touched on something important too, where talking about maybe, I'm not going to start making a channel because the niche that I'm interested in is super saturated. Like, there's too many people making videos. So, mine would just fall at the wayside and no one would ever discover me anyway. You see people every year in every niche go from like 0 to 100,000 subscribers in like 6 months.
Yep.
In that niche that you're talking about. And then people might also be like, yeah, but that was like an exception. Like, he got lucky doing like this, or like, he took the last good channel topic. Like, now that he's there, I can't do it anymore. But you see people every year. Like, there's a guy, I'm going to mess up his name. I think his name's like Alan Tassi. If you look on YouTube, he's that guy that he only posts shorts, and he's been doing it for like less than a year. And the shorts are like, did you know in this movie, and then gives like a fun fact, and like 15 seconds later it's over. And the videos are so addicting, and people love that kind of stuff, that it's like one of those things where like you'll click on a video, you'll learn a fun fact about a movie, and then 10 minutes later you found that you've consumed, 30, 40 of his videos. Just like, you can't stop, because and he's really good at what he does, but it's very simple. Just a little text that says, did you know this about, Captain America, Winter Soldier? And then just him narrating over a little background clip of Captain America. 15 seconds later, it's over. And like, I subscribed immediately, and he's a great example of a guy that went from like 0 to 100,000. Like, he didn't even have an account in 2020, I don't think. Yeah. And he went from 0 to 100,000. I'm sure he's way over 100,000 now, subscribers in like less than a calendar year. So it's like, anyone that says that YouTube, like starting a YouTube account is something you can't do anymore because it's been around too long and you waited too long, there are always those people that go from like 0 to 100,000 in a single year. And there's always room for new creators and new perspectives and new voices. But like you said, and for voices that have already been around, like, just because a guy's already giving an opinion about a movie doesn't mean I can't also give an opinion about a movie because he already did.
Yes.
I think you just have to be passionate about a certain topic, hone your craft, and just hit the record button, really.
Yes. Wow, that was a good conversation. I feel so energized.
You ready to go make a new like hour-long video after this? All amped up.
Yeah. Okay, Sully, thank you so much for this conversation. Where can people find you if they want to watch your stuff?
Yeah, so pretty much any of the big social media platforms, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd. If you just search Sully Streams, I should pop up. I know there's actually, I was in a little bit of a conversation with some guy that was also named Sully Streams that was streaming some video game content. And I asked him if I could have his name, and then he like blocked me. But so that's not going to happen. So I think, on YouTube, I'm Sully Streams. On Instagram, I'm Sully Streams. I think on Twitter, I'm Sully_Streams because he wouldn't let me swap with him. But, to each his own. He got there before me. So basically, though, I'm active enough, and I have enough of a follower base that if you just look up Sully Streams on any of the platforms, I should be the first one to come up. So